UN Special Envoy Hans Grunberg and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken discussed latest peace efforts in Yemen. Israeli occupation Air Force strikes populated areas in Gaza Strip as war appears to escalate. Houthis continue to target women in the areas under their control. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is Rushan Fuad. The UN Special Envoy Hans Grunberg met with the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and discussed the Yemeni situation. During the meeting, Secretary Blinken said that over the last 18 months, the truce did improve the lives of the Yemenis, adding that the challenge now is to turn the truce into a durable peace. For his part, Special Envoy Grunberg valued the support of the United States to the UN-led process to end the conflict in Yemen. Omani Foreign Minister called for an immediate ceasefire between Palestinians and Israelis as war plans continue to bomb the Gaza Strip. At the outset of a strategic dialogue session bringing together officials from the GCC and the EU in Muscat, the Omani diplomat called also for the release of captives on both sides, stressing the need to address the root causes of violence between the parties. The Israeli occupation Air Force continued to bomb populated areas in Gaza Strip. According to the United Nations, more than 2,100 Palestinians have displaced due to the ongoing bombardment. This report has more details.
Residents of the Gaza Strip scrambled to find safety as Israeli warplanes hammered neighborhoods in the tiny coastal enclave, retailing for the deadly weekend attack by a Hamas group. As Gaza people crowded into UN schools and a shrinking number of safe neighborhoods, humanitarian groups pleaded for the creation of corridors to get aid into Gaza, warning that hospitals overwhelmed with wounded people were running out of supplies. Israel has stopped entry of food, fuel, and medicine into Gaza, and the sole remaining access from Egypt shut down after airstrikes hit near the border crossing. The war, which has claimed at least 2,100 lives on both sides, is expected to escalate. Israel appears determined to crush Hamas' hold on Gaza, following an unprecedented attack in which Hamas gunned down civilians in their homes, on streets, and at Hamas outdoor music festival, while dragging men, women, and children into captivity. Hamas and other armed groups in Gaza hold about 150 soldiers and civilians hostage, according to Israel. A looming question is whether Israel will launch a ground assault into Gaza, Egypt, and the Mediterranean Sea, which is home to 2.3 million people and has been governed by Hamas since 2007. Israel stepped up its offensive on Tuesday, expanding the mobilization of soldiers to 360,000. Israel's military said it had regained effective control over areas Hamas attacked in its south and of the Gaza border. In a new tactic, Israel is warning civilians to evacuate neighborhood after neighborhood and then inflicting devastation in what could be a prelude to a ground offensive.
How many times Israel have committed war crimes right live on your own cameras? Do you start by asking them to condemn themselves? Have you? You don't. You don't. No, I'll answer that question. You don't. You know why I refuse to answer this question? Because I refuse the premise of it. Because at the very heart of it is misrepresentation of the whole thing. Because it's the Palestinians that are always expected to condemn themselves. What Israelis have seen, which we started by saying tragic, the last 48 hours, the Palestinians see every day for the last 50 years. You know the situation in Gaza, you've just described it. This is the biggest open-air prison. Those people, 2 million, have been taken hostage by Israel for the last 16 years.
The Houthi militia retargeted the gatherings of displaced people west of Taiz province. Sources confirmed that 2 mortar shells fell near one of the camps in the city, causing fear and panic among the people, especially children and women. Also in Taiz, 1 citizen was injured by Houthi sniper bullets west of the city. Sources confirmed that the citizen was shot in the head by a Houthi militia sniper stationed in a hill northwest of the city. The Houthi militia has been continuously targeting populated areas in Taiz. Still in Taiz, one woman was injured by the explosion of a mine planted by the Houthi militia southeast of the city. A human rights source stated that the citizen was injured by Houthi mine explosion when she near her house in the village of El Shakab. The woman was taken to Al Thawra General Hospital to receive her treatment. The Houthi militia continues to commit violations against women in the areas under their control. Recent incidents of such Houthi repressive measures were reported in Ib and Sana'a provinces. This report has more details.
In Ib, Houthis attacked 3 women and kidnapped a 4th one. They also committed another crime by attacking a widow and her daughter in East Sana'a. According to sources, a Houthi patrol carrying armed men and members of a Zainabiyat suddenly stormed the home of the woman and her daughters and began dragging her into the street. Activists on social media shared pictures and scenes documenting the moment the Houthi militants assaulted women in broad daylight in front of everyone in Sana'a. The incident is an extension of previous Houthi crimes, the most recent of which was the group's brutal assault in early May on 5 women from east of Sana'a. The Houthi group, as part of its series of looting of the lands and properties of others, had previously seized months ago by force of arms lands and properties belonging to the people in various areas of Sana'a. In the context of the Houthi group expanding their attacks against Yemeni women in areas under its control, activists pointed out that the Houthis in Ib continue to cover up their crimes. Yemeni and International Human Rights Report had previously accused the Houthis of continuing to commit crimes of assault, repression, and unprecedented escalation campaigns against Yemeni women and girls in various areas under their control. In addition, a few days ago, local sources revealed that the Houthi group had launched a new recruitment campaign for dozens of Yemeni women of all ages within what is known as a Zainabiyat, which is the women's military and security wing of the Houthi militia. Female Houthi recruits will be responsible for suppressing women who oppose the coup's authority, prosecuting, assaulting, and arresting them. They will also raid their homes, as well as force weekly mobilization classes for female government school students with the goal of brainwashing them to join these military formations.
Coming next. Dengue fever disease hits major Houthi controlled areas amid collapsing healthcare services. Welcome back. The Houthi militia announced landing of a UN plane at Hodeidah airport for the second time of its kind in 9 years. The United Nations mission to support the Hodeidah agreement noted that the landing of the UN plane at Hodeidah comes as part of the arrangements with the warring parties to transport and provide medical aid. The Yemeni government announced a new initiative to facilitate resumption of flights from Sana'a to Jordan. This followed the dispute of the Yemen Airways and the Houthis over confiscating the national carrier assets in the capital Sana'a. The following report has more details.
Yemen Airways has been facing a crisis with the Houthi group, which has frozen its assets and seized one of its planes at Sana'a airport. The Yemeni government has proposed a new conditional initiative to continue flights to Amman airport, despite the ongoing tensions. Yemeni Airlines has threatened to escalate the situation if the Houthis do not accept a new initiative, stipulating that commercial flights from Sana'a airport will be expanded, on the condition that the Houthis first release the plane detained at Sana'a airport and cancels the decisions to freeze the company's assets in areas under their control. The Yemeni government has expressed readiness to support the company's efforts to expand flights from Sana'a airport to other destinations, citing the Houthi group's involvement in humanitarian issues. The Yemeni government has accused the Houthi militia of politicizing humanitarian issues and profiting from them. The Yemeni government has recalled that the Houthi militia is withholding revenues from flights and from Sana'a airport, preventing the company from using those revenues for fuel and maintenance. The group is accused of seeking to destroy the company as it has destroyed all state institutions since 2014. Jordanian authorities have stopped issuing security approvals for Yemeni passport holders to enter its territory, and Egyptian authorities have tightened procedures for Yemenis obtaining security approvals. The Yemeni government has not commented on the reason for these measures, and the Ethiopian government has suspended entry visas for Yemenis to enter its territory without knowing the reasons. The only air route out of the country has been suspended in rebel-held capital to protest Houthi restrictions on its funds.
The hours of power outages in Aden increased to more than 19 hours per day. Local sources said that the hours of power outages exceeded 19 hours compared to less than 5 hours of power generation every 24 hours. According to the Aden Electricity Corporation, the reason for such power outages is shortage of fuel. The United Nations reported that total food imports through Hodeidah ports reached 20.8 million tons during this year. The report added that food imports through Houthi ports this year represents an increase of 11% compared to past years. World Health Organization said that dengue fever has hit major areas in the Houthi-controlled areas, especially in Saada Governorate. This comes amid collapsing healthcare system due to the conflict. The following report has more details.
A dengue fever epidemic has swept through the Yemeni governorate of Saada, the main stronghold of the Houthi group. The epidemic, which spreads during the summer and rainy seasons, has affected the city of Dahyan and surrounding countryside. Public and private hospitals are struggling to maintain the number of cases, with intensive care departments filled with patients and many treated on floors and in hospital corridors. The Houthi group is accused of plundering resources allocated by international organizations to combat the disease, including removing waste, repairing sewage networks, filling swamps, spraying mosquitoes population with pesticides, and distributing mosquito nets. Besides, they are betting that the epidemic will retreat during the fall and winter seasons as temperatures drop, leading to the death of mosquitoes that transmit the disease. Houthi leaders have expressed their astonishment at the group's disregard and cover up the epidemic. Hospitals in Saada Governorate are under strict surveillance by the Houthis, with the use of phones, photography, and recording equipment prohibited. The group has exacerbated health conditions by interfering with relief organizations, management of relief work, and withholding financial and medical aid. Organizations like UNHCR, FAO, UNICEF, OSHA, World Health Organization, and International Migration have been prevented from providing aid. The group collects thousands of dollars for license to carry out activities and obligates organizations to use its vehicles for unreasonable fees. The group also monopolizes the storage of relief materials and fuel. Dengue cases in Yemen have surged. The outbreak has affected 174 districts in 22 governorates, with urban areas being the most affected. Therefore, the Ministry of Public Health and Population has requested support from the Yemen Red Crescent Society and other humanitarian partners for preventing and control.
Here is a reminder of the main headlines. UN Special Envoy Hans Grunberg and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken discussed latest efforts in Yemen. Israeli occupation air force strikes populated areas in Gaza Strip as war appears to escalate. Houthis continue to target women in their areas under their control. This is the end of the news. It was Rushan Fuad. Thank you for watching.